Welcome to Skyrim Pix, Week 1. The concept is simple. 5 carefully selected photos get some well-deserved attention. Skyrim still craves some more limelight, and there are some awesome Skygraphers out there. I have 3 simple rules for the photos I select and how I present them. First, the photos will be moderately close to vanilla Skyrim, as in lore-friendly, so no bounty castles and grenade launchers. Second, no 2 files from the same Skygrapher in the same week. That would simply be unfair. And finally, my commentary will not be based merely on aesthetics but will focus on artistic perspective, so rule of thirds, viewpoints and all that jazz. Hello and welcome to episode 1 of Skyrim Pix. This week's theme is battle, of any kind against anything in Skyrim. Any picture that captures the mood and feel of danger. So the first picture we're going to look at is called Dancing with the Bones by Skygrapher Slayer Paul. This is what I would describe as a perfectly positioned combat scene. The first thing you notice about this picture is the character, who is centered in the action. He is surrounded by 11 Drogers, who have a variety of weapons drawn towards him. Interestingly, the eye is drawn to the many weapons in the scene, but there are 4 weapons that solicit more attention. The 2 maces in the character's hands, the large bow drawn by the Drogo directly in front of the character, and the axe held by the one to his left. Now as for motion, perhaps he is mid-swing. The battle has started moments ago, as one lies on the ground. It feels like somehow he had managed to pick off one, but now he must fight them all simultaneously. Another thing you'll notice about this picture is the lighting. It is coming in from the right, and you can see it more clearly on the skeletons. Some of the Drogers are hidden slightly by the shadows. Overall, this image is fantastically composed. The second image we'll be looking at today is entitled Guard Attack by Skygrapher Maxus. You can imagine yourself as an Imperial soldier here, faced with this guy right in front. His axe is clean, there's no blood on it, the battle's just started. Both you and him are on the front line. There is some blood smudged on his hand, indicating that something had happened prior to the current confrontation. There are a few soldiers standing at the back. Perhaps the Imperial army is huge, and the Stormcloaks at the front are overzealous. As with the last picture, light is coming in from the right. You can see it on the tops of the trees, on the shield, on the ground, on his helmet, and on his chainmail sleeve. This image is very intensive and captures the moment before chaos. Our third image is entitled Vigilance by Skygrapher Mick. The colour in this image is very warm. However, you can clearly see that the atmosphere between the 2 people is most definitely not warm. The one on the left is holding a torch and a sword. There's blood splatter. The one on the right is obviously about to cast something, and their expressions are both focused and hostile. The subjects literally own the foreground of this image. The background is blurred and the blood splatter is crisp, giving the feeling of depth. The subjects have the appearance of a slight motion blur. The perfectly focused stone pillar behind them simply adds to this effect. This is a highly intimate combat scene, which leaves you wondering whether the subjects know each other or if they are complete strangers. Overall, a great image. Our next image is entitled How to Make Popsicles by Skygrapher Zero King. Now you can see the snowy mountains slightly blurred out. The rocks behind the frost atronach are more focused, and the character obviously has some motion blur as he runs towards it. Now the frost atronach is quite focused, almost crisp. He's lifting his arm up, about to strike the character. It makes sense that the frost atronach is almost in complete focus, but not fully. His heavy arm would, by default, move slowly, therefore creating less motion. Now the composition in this image is really interesting. With a lot of well-composed pictures, you'll find the subject is positioned off-center. That simply comes from the rule of thirds. This is what the image would look like if it followed the off-center suggestion. Now I say suggestion because the rule isn't strict, and it can often be skillfully broken. You can see the image is still compelling. The eye is drawn a little way down the slope here, but returns to the action in the foreground. With this particular image, it's personal preference whether the centered subjects or the off-centered subjects work better. Both versions of the image are captivating. One thing that is beautiful about the image in its natural centered state is the almost panoramic background. When you have gazed at the scene before you, seen how the frost atronach's arm is almost scraping the top of the image, you can view the background almost as though it was separate. The mountains and the snowy trees are breathtaking. This, I believe, comes from the non-adherence to the rule of thirds. The final image we're going to be looking at today is this one by Skygrapher Arrow0196. Now, setting aside the incredibly detailed graphics of the frost troll, we have to first take into account his size. He is staggeringly massive. The skillful positioning of these two subjects is ingenious. First, the background is blurred out in an almost bokeh style. This allows the viewer only two places to rest their eyes, on the giant to the left or on the female character to the right. The troll takes up the entire left section of the picture and the female only a quarter. The blurred trees seem to fill in any void in her half of the screen. Even the ground slopes from left to right, maximizing the size difference between the two subjects. Now, the character doesn't look like she could do a lot of damage to the frost troll. She's got a little dagger or small sword in her hand, and she's got heels on, and she looks very little. Well, she is very little compared to it. Now, it feels as though I want to hit play on this, as though it's a scene. I find myself asking, what happens next? Suspense is an excellent emotion to feel from viewing an image. I want to know what happens to this little lady here. I want to know why she's not running away, and what she plans to do with her small sword. But that's it for this week. If you found it informative and interesting, please like and subscribe, and I'll see you all next week with episode 2. Please state the number of your favourite image in the comments below, and that image will feature in a very special way next week. Links to all the Skygraphers who produce the outstanding images are in the description below. Thanks for watching.